Awesome. So we've sort of entered a new era with Amazon and Amazon FBA, and the products that you should be launching is rapidly changing. And I'm coming out with a lot of new content. I see a lot of other people coming out with the right sort of content that you need to know and you need to understand before getting into e-commerce and before getting into Amazon in 2020 and beyond. And I thought a really helpful example would be good for you. So in this video, we're going to break down one example of a product that I've stumbled across that has amazing potential and really fits the criteria for a great product to launch. So if you like this sort of content, give it a like on the little like button below, make that thing turn blue. Subscribe if you haven't already. We have a lot of amazing content coming out this year, and let's jump in. So I wanted to start with something very, very simple and something that if you get this wrong, and I've got this wrong in one of my product launches, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you launch into a market with no demand or very low demand, or demand, but it's all focused at the top product, it's all going to the number one product, you're going to have a really hard time. You can't manufacture demand. Demand is the number one thing that you need to look at. You need to think of it as basically, if you think Amazon as a whole, they're doing $270 something billion of sales last year. And that's a pie, and we all want to cut a piece of that pie for ourselves, or a tiny little crumb of that $270 billion of sales. You have to understand that the pie is cut into slices, which are the niches that you will be launching products into. So, for example, AirPods or wireless earbuds is the number one best-selling product and the number one most searched search term on Amazon, on eBay, in commerce. In general, it's the largest slice of that pie. And if you come over here, I'm using Helium-10. Link is in the description for this. They have this amazing feature here that shows you exactly how much total revenue that niche or on that search term is doing on that first page. So you can see the first page of AirPods is doing $1.2 million of sales. That is the demand. That is the size of the actual slice of that. So they're doing $12 million a month. If we go and we broaden this to the wireless earbud search, we come over to Helium-10, and we click that again so that our X-ray is highlighted and able to be used. And we come over to our total revenue here, which is how big is that pie that we're getting into. And we let that load as slow as it needs to actually load. You can see it's $7.1 million. We're also in early February. We're in like the slowest part of the year. So even if you times that out by 12, you get $85 million every single year of wireless earbuds are being sold. Now, this is the first piece of the puzzle. This is the first piece you need to look at is there demand? Is there a piece of pie that you can actually go after? And if there is, well then great, you've mastered step one. There is demand there for you. There's $7 million a month of sales. If you're trying to get to $10,000 a month, you're going to be on page 19 or whatever it is, and you can get $10,000 a month of sales in a massive niche like this. But of course, you have to then worry about competition. Because even though there's a $85 million a year niche here for you to come in and compete with, and you only need a tiny little bit of that to get to your six figures, or a decent size of that to get to your seven figures, you need to understand there's a lot of people moving into these markets. There's over 1 million people a year coming to sell on Amazon, and we have to compete with them. So that comes to our second piece of the piece of the puzzle. We have a puzzle and a pie going on. The second piece of the puzzle, you need one, remember, is demand. You need high demand in that niche. The second one is you need some form of unique selling proposition, and it doesn't have to be within your product. You need some form of competition force field. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the competition force field in this video because I did a video on it, which I'll link up here, but you need to know how you can separate yourself from the competition, how you can add some intangible value and a reason why someone is going to pick your product over someone else's product. And you can scroll through and you can see, of course, Apple is going to be the best at selling these wireless earbuds. And people who like Apple, people who have iPhones, their unique selling proposition is that they're Apple. It's a massive one, and a lot of people, and that's why these earpods or earbuds, Apple AirPods, that's what they call them, are the biggest piece of the market. and they're bigger than a lot of companies. Just this branch of Apple, just their AirPods, is bigger than something like Spotify and Nike and something else all put together. I'll see if I can get the graphic and put it up for you. But just one product is bigger than a lot of massive companies. And you can scroll down and you can just see what are these unique selling propositions for each of these items that are doing well. You can see they're all, at this point, you have to have incredible imagery. You can see these ones have clip over the ears. They've gone for that angle. And you just need, and once again, I'm not going to go into it, there's about 5 to 6 different ways you can separate yourself from this competition. And I'll pop the video link in the description as well if you want to watch that. So once you know you're in a niche with high demand and you know how to separate yourself from competition, you want to also do the third thing. And I'm going to go over to a very big brand over here, Cards Against Humanity. One of the best private label products of all time. They've done tens of millions, hundreds of millions even of sales of these cards. You can see they're number 7 in toys and games, which is a massive category. This is Helium 10 tool as well. Link in the description for that. And you can see here they are down here. If we click on them, we can use the Helium 10 tool to also see the historic bestseller rank. So if you don't know what bestseller rank is, it is basically how this product ranks against every other product in its category on Amazon in terms of sales, in terms of sale velocity. And to be in the top 1,000 is incredible. You're going to be doing extremely well. To be in the top $10,000 is great. Top 10,000 bestseller ranks is great. Top 20,000 bestseller ranks is good, and you'll have a very good business based on that. You can see if we zoom out on this one, they're maintaining an incredibly low top 10 best-selling rank for this card game. And of course, this card game costs them $2, and they're selling it for $25. It's an incredible markup. But what I wanted to focus on is the third part of this puzzle, because we're in the puzzle bit now, is they've created a brand that no longer can you just launch a single product and think that that's going to survive for the next 10, 20, 30 years. If you are not actually making a brand out of this, if you're not multiplying your income by launching different products and different expansion packs, and look at all these different like expansion packs they're launching with new cards in it. They've launched, you've got a bundle here. You've just got a box to keep them in. There's all these different sorts of boxes, and I've only played this game once, but you can see they have a lot of different varieties, and they're all doing very, very well. If we go back to Cards Against Humanity search, you can see number 460, number 541, number 835. They're leveraging their initial success on that number 1 product, which is what you do. You need to focus on the first product first. And then once you have that success, you can run retargeting ads. You can run email campaigns to those customers that you've already gotten, spread those sales into your second, third, fourth product, and give them the momentum to match and join them on the bestseller chart. So to recap, before we go into this example that is doing this probably 80% well, but it's wide open market for someone to come in and do this well. You need very high demand. Or not even very high demand, but you need enough demand for you to work out how much of that market you need to corner off and see if that's possible. But there needs to be demand there. There needs to be people who actually want the product that you're selling. You need to bring value. Number 2, you need to bring value in a unique way. You need to corner off, like we said, a competition force field, and have a reason why people are going after your product and not others. I was in Officeworks, which I believe could be an Australian company. It's like a Staples, like a pens and stationery sort of store. And yesterday, and I saw it was, again, this is a very Australian example if you're not from Australia. It's called a tradies. I'll see if I can find it on here actually, since we're sharing screen. Tradies book, workbook, exercise book, notebook. That's what we want to call it. It's called a tradies notebook. Here it is. I thought it was quite fascinating. You can see Officeworks. This is where it was. It was tough paper, and it was 160 pages made from stone. And I picked this up, and it was a heavy book. It was actually a very heavy, tough book. And all it is a notebook. But you can see they've cornered off a section of people who buy notebooks. They know, okay, notebooks may be $100 million a year niche. And so tradies are obviously just like trades workers, like electricians and carpenters and builders and electricians, if I didn't say that one already. But they know that they buy like maybe 3 or 4% of that market. $4 million a year might be towards tradies. And instead of being like, cool, tradies are just going to buy any notebook, this person, this brand, New World, has come out with like, okay, well, if there's $4 million a year of sales on going to tradies on notepads, why don't we make a specific notepad for them? And therefore, out of those $4 million a year of sales, if they can get on Amazon, if they can get on in Officeworks in front of these people, they're going to capture a much larger portion of the market than if you're just a generalist trade notebook. So it's a really good example of how you can separate yourself from competition and own a niche within that larger demand niche. And the example that I want to show you before I fill up my storage on my computer, apparently, I should probably clean that out, is something called Tipsy Ships. Now, what I wanted to focus on here is a couple of things, and I want to show you where they missed and why the market is wide open on this. So similar to Cards Against Humanity, Tipsy Ships is a game, and games have a lot of intangible value, where Cards Against Humanity, it's a pack of cards. You can buy that for about $2 on Alibaba. You can get them manufactured very, very cheaply, including shipping, and you can sell them for $30 because it's a game. The game of Monopoly, it's a board game, some metal pieces, some cards. It costs $5 to manufacture for them. But because it's a game, because it has this intangible value, people pay much more for it. And this is a drinking game. They've called it Tipsy Ships. Incredible name. Throw a trademark on it. I don't know if they have one or not, but that's going to give you some brand protection. Not only that, but it's basically like battleships, which everyone knows how to play, and beer pong, which most people know how to play, especially in the US, put together. And instead of having just random assortments of cups when you play beer pong, you can use it like battleships, and you can still innovate. You could put like a blind barrier in the middle so you couldn't see where the ships were, or you can come in and innovate on this market. But you can see they've created a game, a very clever game. But what they've done, unfortunately, so one, they've come, let's go in order. One, they've got demand in this niche. Drinking games, high demand. You can go check it on Helium 10 yourself, but drinking games are very, very high demand. Two, they've come in with a unique selling proposition. They've blended a couple of games together, and they've got a cool, catchy, fun name for it. And this is a game that people want, and I'll show you how well they're doing in just a second. Now, three, it's potential to build out into a bigger brand. You can launch a lot more, and they have actually launched a lot more games. They've got Tipsy Tower. I don't know if this is still the same people here. Yeah. Drinkapalooza. I think Tipsy Tower is definitely them. Should we drink tonight? Yes. Should we drink tonight? We'll click this one over here. Go to their storefront is the easiest way to do it. So Tipsy Tower is a great game. It's a great name. Sorry, I've never actually played the Tipsy Tower game, but it's a great name, and another unique selling proposition, which I'll let you come and look in on yourself. You can see they're ranking well under the 20,000, but you can build a brand around these drinking games that has room to grow there. So it fulfills that third thing. What they're missing though, and what is sad, is they've gone cheap. They've gone very, very cheap. And the fourth aspect that you need to be aware of is you need to go premium. You need to make sure you're looking for the long term. And this is very evident by their bestseller rank down here. So once again, Helium 10, you can track their sales rank over time. They launched on the 8th of December 2019. So very new product. You can see post-Christmas, when things are quite quiet on Amazon, but obviously not too quiet, but quiet compared to the fourth quarter. Sales rank down here. Look at this, dropping under the top 1,000, dropping into the hundreds sales rank. But look at this, it's popping back up. And the reason it's popping back up is because they went for a cheap set. So here's a video with sort of It's Okay. I don't know if you can hear that. It's a very crackly sounding ping pong ball. Terrible, don't buy is one of their reviews. Poor quality. They missed the premium. Horrible. They miss the premiumness of it. Like, you can come in, you can create a much better box than that. Put some effort into that box. Get a graphic designer if you don't know it yourself. You can make a beautiful looking box for Tipsy Ships, one that maybe connects more with the target market that's actually buying this. You could do better colors on the actual boats. You could just have high quality ping pong balls instead of doing 0.1 of a cent for the crappy Tipsy Ship ping pong balls. Pay a cent or pay 10 cents per ping pong ball, because the markup on this is so crazy. And you'll see this with movies, you'll see this with books, you'll see this with Amazon products. If you go cheap, you can fool the customer for a little bit. In the short term, It's a voting. It's a vote. This is Benjamin Graham, I believe, in the talking about the stock markets. In the short term, it's a voting system. So in the short term, wow, this looks good. This looks fun. This looks like something I want. I'm going to go and buy it. And they haven't got any reviews yet. No one's played it. No one's come back and told their friends about it. But in the long term, you're going to be weighed in. Your product and the product quality is going to be weighed in. And if you don't hit amazing reviews, you're going to come unstuck from where you are, and you're going to be slowly rising back to the top and out to oblivion. And this is why you need to know that your product needs to be premium, it needs to be high quality, and instead of it coming down and going back up, it's going to come down and it's going to stick there just because of word of mouth. If you've ever played a game, if you've ever read a book or watched a movie, and then you go and you recommend it to your friends and family and people you talk to, and maybe throw it on social media, you'll see that second wave instead of... Sorry, my memory did run out. So just to get back on and wrap up this for you is, instead of launching something cheap, instead of launching something using 2017, 2018 methods, you need to make sure you find high demand. You need to make sure you bring a unique selling proposition, something that's in demand within that demand, to the market, and then build a force field around it. Link in the description for the video that talks more about how to do this. You need to make sure it's expandable to a brand long term, so you can just keep doubling your revenues by doubling the amount of products that you have over long term. And then cross-selling is 7 times easier than finding a new customer. And then go premium. If you're going to get into this tipsy ship, if you're going to get into these drinking games, if you're going to get into any product, go premium. And instead of bouncing back up after everyone has that word of mouth effect and your product gets weighed in upon, you're going to actually stick to the bottom. And you can see that's what happened with actual Cards Against Humanity. Is the second wave for Cards Against Humanity helped them stick down to the bottom. And you can see using this Helium 10 tool once again. Link for this is in the description. You can see they've stuck for so long. That's July 2015. They've just been on that bottom because the word of mouth goes around. It's a great game. People have fun, and they double down on their results. So hopefully this is helpful. I'm going to have a lot more examples coming out for you on how to really get ahead of all the average people who are launching average products into the market in 2020 and transcend that. I have another video on how to transcend Amazon FBA competition. I'll link that up here as well. Make sure you get into this content, into this new style of doing things, and you're going to see amazing success. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.